Hey everyone, today we're back with more deals for your Nintendo Switch as we head into the weekend. We'll start off at the lower price point and work our way up, but every game on the list is either at a brand new low or at least matching previously low pricing, so you know you aren't overspending on any of these great games, and then at the end we'll highlight some other deals as well. Thanks as always for hanging out. If you enjoyed the video or maybe we help you find a new game to pick up, hit that like button for us and welcome to the crew if you're new. Hopefully we can earn your subscription today. Alright, with that said, let's dive in. Stay safe, my friends. Alright, we'll start with The Church in the Darkness, which is a single-player stealth action game with an isometric view. It has a download around 1.5 gigs and should last roughly 2 to 4 hours to wrap up. We play as a man named Vic, and the story does deal with some pretty heavy topics and would likely be better suited for older gamers. The events are scripted but can be altered a bit, as many of the characters you'll interact with do have changing personalities each time you play through. Your goal is simple, just to find your son and avoid detection. It is a fun game, and right now it's on sale for just $1.99, marked down 90% until the 10th of May, a new low. Live by the Sword Tactics is a retro-style RPG that takes inspiration from classics like Final Fantasy Tactics and other 16-bit JRPGs. It has a download around 1.6 gigs and offers dozens of hours of gameplay. Now, if you are new to the genre, there is a very in-depth tutorial that will give players a solid understanding of how the mechanics work. The battlefields are grid-based and the combat is turn-based, of course. It looks gorgeous and runs well on the Switch, and right now you can pick it up at a new low of just $2.99. You even have the option to play with a friend locally or take the game online. Just make sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 18th. Dungeon Limbus is a single-player strategy RPG with a download around 375 megabytes, and it offers players a ton of replay value, as it is a roguelike, and so naturally you're meant to die over and over again while leveling up your character in order to push a bit further into the story. Now you'll have to venture into the dungeons to kill creatures and collect loot while having to manage your town when you're not adventuring. The maps are randomized to keep things fresh, and of course the boss battles are a lot of fun as well. Right now you can pick up Dungeon Limbus for just $4.04, a new low, and the deal ends on the 12th. Blade of Darkness is a remaster of a game that released 20 years ago. It's a single-player action-adventure title with a download around 1.5 gigs, and the game offers more than 15 hours of gameplay on average. You do have 4 playable characters, each with unique starting areas and paths to the end, but ultimately they all lead to the same ending. You do have to know what you're getting into though here. The game is janky and feels familiar if you grew up gaming back when this originally released. The remastered version is mostly visual, just bringing it up to today's standards. It's a cool game for what it's trying to be, and right now it's on sale for just $4.99, marked down to a new low, and the deal ends on the 17th. The Companion is a single-player, explorative puzzle-style adventure game here on the Switch. It's a new release and gives players 7 different levels to explore, and of course, as you can see, the main character is a majestic white fox. The story does a good job of pushing the player forward, and as you explore, you'll find and collect a resource called Essence, as well as different artifacts that will be needed to piece together the overall puzzle that connects the zones together. Our little fox is voice acted as well, and we'll talk to the player to help guide them along. It's a peaceful game with a soothing soundtrack, and right now it's on sale at an introductory price of just $4.99, marked down 75% until the 18th. Viviette is a single-player horror survival game with a roughly 4 to 5 hour story, and the download comes in at about 125 megabytes. Now the game plays a lot like older Resident Evil games with a top-down view and a more retro aesthetic. In this one you'll have to explore the huge haunted estate while searching for items, managing inventory, solving puzzles, and pushing the story forward, all while trying to avoid being caught by a roaming monster. It's definitely one of the better games in the genre, and right now you can pick it up at half price, bringing it down to just $4.99 until the 18th, matching an all-time low. Next we have Onion Assault, which is the newest game from the creator of the Gunman Clive HD collection, as well as a couple other indie games here on the Switch. This time around we have a 2D platformer that feels sort of like a blend of Super Mario Bros. 2 and the previously mentioned Gunman series. Now, just like with Super Mario Bros. 2, you can pick up enemies or catch projectiles and throw them back at the enemy, and the game is surprisingly fun. It has a download just under 150 megabytes and gives players a total of 16 different levels to work their way through, each getting a bit harder, and by the end it can be pretty challenging. Right now you can pick it up for just $6.39, a new low, and the deal ends on the 17th. Astray is a single-player puzzle platformer with a download around 4 gigs and a main story that will last roughly 9 to 10 hours to wrap up. The game has a sci-fi setting and the animations are top-notch, plus the way you move around the stages is pretty cool as well. You can stick to different objects or bounce around, and once you get the hang of it, you'll be calculating moves and flying through the different levels. Now the story is told through collectibles, which gives a bit more reason to explore, and if you're interested in Astray, you can grab it up before the sale ends on the 10th. Right now it's marked down 50% and matching an all-time low of just $7.49. Primal Light is a retro-inspired single-player action platformer with a download around 220 megabytes, and it gives players 10 different levels to work through, each having their own boss at the end as well. Now I mentioned the retro feel, and you can tell the devs love the Castlevania series, plus the art design always works well here on the Switch. The combat itself is pretty intense, and the game is difficult by default, but there is a difficulty slider if you feel it's a bit too tough. Now the sound design is another thing that I want to mention. It's top tier as well, and right now you can pick up Primal Light for a new low of just $7.49, half price until the 14th, and I would highly recommend it. Next we have Tales of Vesperia, the Definitive Edition, which is a fantastic action RPG. It does have a hefty download around 13 gigs, but it offers more than 50 hours of gameplay, and it has a really unique combat system along with an intriguing story and some memorable characters that you'll encounter along the way. On top of that, this version includes the DLC and new playable characters as well for even more value, plus all of the enhancements that were made over time. If you're interested in Tales of Vesperia, make sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 14th. It's marked down 84% to just $7.99, again an all-time low. Little Noah, Scion of Paradise is a single-player 2D action platformer that offers players more than 10 hours of gameplay, and it comes in with a download around 2 gigs. Now in this one we basically play in 2 different ways. Firstly, you have the roguelike style loop where you set out to complete a section of the game, and then once you've either done so or died, you'll return back to the hub where you can upgrade your facilities or get stronger buffs for the following runs, and these become more powerful the further you progress through. In addition, you can recruit allies to help aid in battle, and there are more than 40 total that you can find. Right now it's on sale for just $8.99, a new low price, with both DLC packs, and the deal ends on the 10th. Next we have Superliminal, which is a single-player first-person puzzle game where perceptions can alter reality, and this is one of the coolest indie games I've ever played. The core mechanics are simple, but how you can use them become very complex as you work through the different levels. Now you are guided through by a robotic voice in the background, and as you can see, the main gameplay mechanic has players moving objects around, pulling them closer or pushing them further away in order to alter their size. And then of course, moving around will give you different angles to these things and can show a hidden path or help solve a puzzle you might be stuck on. The game should last players roughly 3 or 4 hours, and right now it's on sale for just $9.99, matching an all-time low until the 8th. MARSUPILAMI HOOBADVENTURE is a fun single-player 2D platformer and the newest mainline title in the series. It gives players roughly 3 to 6 hours of main story gameplay and allows you to switch between the 3 main protagonists at any time, which is pretty cool. Sadly, they don't really have anything that separates them, but that's okay because the gameplay and controls are both great here on the Switch. Now, with the MARSUPILAMIs having those long tails, of course that would be their main weapon, and the game offers more than 20 different levels with cool creative boss battles, and the game offers a few different difficulty settings, making it easy for beginners, but still having the option for more hardcore gamers. Right now it's marked down more than 60%, bringing it to an all-time low of just $10.19, and the deal ends on the 18th. Cadence of Hyrule is an amazing mashup of one of the most beloved Nintendo franchises combined with an indie gem that came out of nowhere. Crypt of the Necrodancer was a fantastic game, and in fact the developer must have left an impression as they were lent the rights to use Zelda and then create this amazing follow-up. You basically have a Zelda-style adventure with Necrodancer gameplay mechanics, and it should last roughly 9 to 10 hours to finish up. Now, if you really don't like the rhythm aspect of the game, you can turn that off and play through in a more traditional way. The game is absolutely outstanding, and right now it's at an all-time low until the 14th. Make sure to grab it up while marked down half price, making it just $12.49, and if you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, you can try it for free first. Up next we have Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights, which is a single-player action RPG with a download just under 2 gigs and a main story that will take more than 20 hours to finish up. Now the game has an amazing art style and smooth gameplay. The dark atmosphere and soundtrack are incredibly immersive, and the story is engaging. The combat system is one of my favorites, plus there are so many new skills to unlock and a wide variety of cool weapons to use. It's just fantastic. Now the game is difficult but well worth it, and it does have a satisfying ending. If you're interested in Ender Lilies, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 14th. Right now it's marked down 45% and matching an all-time low of just $13.74. Next we have Legend of Mana, which is a massive RPG that originally released late in the 90s and it's been remastered here for modern gamers. It has a download around 5.4 gigs and should last more than 20 hours on your first playthrough. Now I say that because the game does encourage at least one subsequent playthrough after you've finished in order to see everything. They've also added in some modern quality of life features, including the ability to turn off random encounters for those that find that a bit tedious as you reach the end of these big games. Now the colors pop right off the screen here on the Switch, and fans of the original will remember that this game doesn't really hold your hand. It's definitely for more experienced players or hardcore fans of the genre. Right now it's on sale for just $14.99, marked down half price, and the deal ends on the 8th. Alright folks, let's take a look at some deals that are ending soon. Be sure to make your decisions on these before they pop back up to full price. Alright, we'll start with Toziuha Night Dracula's Revenge, which is a single-player retro-inspired action platformer with a small download around 215 megabytes, and it's from a single developer named Danny Garay. Now in this one we play as a young female warrior with the ability to manipulate the elements around her to forge her iron whip and fight off the many different demonic enemies that she'll encounter. Now as the player, you'll work your way through the story and ultimately face off with Dracula at the end, who's been resurrected and on a rampage. It's another game that plays homage to older generations, and if you're interested, it's on sale at a new low of just $4.49, but the deal does end on the 7th at midnight. Before We Leave is a single-player real-time world builder set across numerous different planets. It has a download around 700 megabytes and offers more than 20 hours of gameplay, but that can be extended well beyond that point as the game has a ton of replay value, plus each player will experience and work through the game slightly differently from one another. You're basically starting on every planet from scratch, exploring and building out your villages and cities until eventually you can board a ship to get to the next planet and then do it all over again. Surprisingly, it does run well here on the Switch with only a few minor slowdowns on occasion, which is impressive with how much can be going on at one time. On top of that, the soundtrack is outstanding. Right now you can pick it up for a new low of just $4.99. Again, you'll have to hurry, the deal ends at midnight on the 6th. Up next we have the Survivalists, the Deluxe Edition, which is a multiplayer survival game where you and some friends are stranded on an island and you have to learn to craft, build, and manage all kinds of resources in order to locate and complete different quests to keep the game moving forward. Now it offers local and online options for up to 4 players, but can of course be played solo as well. In addition to the base game, the Deluxe Edition also comes with the Monkey Business Pack, which is a series of side quests that you can do within the game, and a few other bonuses as well. Right now you can pick it up for just $6.74, matching an all-time low, again until the 6th. Next up we have the Serpent Rogue, which is a single-player adventure-style survival game. It has a download just over 1 gig and offers players tons of replay value due to the trial and error nature of the game. Now you're thrown into the world as the latest warden, tasked with putting an end to the evil forces scattered throughout the sandbox-style world. You'll have to manage resources and craft items to survive and fight the numerous enemies that you encounter. Now it doesn't hold your hand at all. Similar to something like Don't Starve, you'll have to experiment with different items and see what makes what, and for fans of the genre, there is a lot to enjoy here. Now it's an incredibly tough game, but if you're up for the challenge, right now it's on sale for just $7.99, a new low price, again until the 6th. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is a single-player 3D RPG with a pretty hefty download around 12.5 gigs, and it offers more than 50 hours of gameplay. Now the cool thing with this game is that you're accompanied by 3 computer characters and their AI is pretty good, way better than it could have been. Now the CPU characters are called pawns and can actually be shared online or borrowed when in need from other players, which is another cool touch. The combat is amazing, but with this one being a little bit older, you'll have to give up a few modern day quality of life features found in newer RPGs, like fast travel for example. Right now it's back on sale for just $9.99, matching a previous low, and the deal ends on the 7th. OKAMI HD is a single-player 3D adventure title with a download just over 9 gigs, but it does offer more than 30 hours of gameplay, and the main story itself was inspired by Japanese folklore with great care taken to make sure they did it right. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous, and the gameplay and combat are a blast. It plays a lot like older Zelda titles, only our main protagonist is a legendary white wolf. Now progression is similar as well, with sections of the world unlocking as you get deeper into the story, plus you have the Celestial Brush mechanic which can alter the world around you or help solve puzzles, as well as a few other things. It's a must play in my opinion, and right now you can pick it up for just $9.99, half price and matching an all-time low, again ending on the 7th. Up next we have Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, which is a single-player RPG with a main story that could last more than 60 hours. Now the game has great writing and storytelling for fans of the genre, and we play as a young boy named Oliver as he embarks on a quest to save his mother. The art, animation, and soundtracks are all top tier, as well as the gameplay, which is rock solid. It's one of the better RPGs that we have here on the console, and right now it's on sale for just $9.99, matching a previous low until the 7th. Shinsekai Into the Depths is a single-player explorative adventure title. It has a download around 2.3 gigs and a main story that will last roughly 10 hours or so. Now it takes place after a nuclear war has destroyed most of the planet's surface, and so we've retreated to the depths of the sea. We play as a man forced from his home and pushed into a journey searching for a new refuge from the elements. Now the game looks gorgeous here on the Switch, but the combat can take a bit of getting used to. However, the game does give the player the option to explore and just push through the story, which is nice, as some of these games can be overly frustrating while roadblocking the player with a mechanic they just can't get the hang of. Right now it's on sale for just $9.99, marked down half price, and the deal ends on the 7th. Baba Is You is a single-player mind-bending puzzler where the rules can change level by level, and at times the game can be incredibly challenging. It has a download just under 250 megabytes and offers players upwards of 10 hours of gameplay on average. Now, as I mentioned, the rules can change, but at the start of every level they are clearly laid out for the player, and this is a game that leads to a ton of like, oh yeah moments when you finally figure something out that you're supposed to do in order to complete a stage. If you enjoy puzzle style games and again you're up for the challenge, pick this one up before the sale ends on the 7th. It's marked down 30% to just $10.50, matching an all-time low. The Company Man is a really cool single-player action platformer that takes everyday normal business life and then puts a comedic twist on it that most people can relate to in some way, as we play as a young man on his first day at a new job, and of course there's that one coworker that just wants to make everything miserable. The levels are split into different sections that you might find at the office. For example, you could find yourself in a frigid level where the AC was left on too cold so everything froze, or another level you might be in hell fighting against HR representatives. The combat and controls feel great and the boss battles are very creative, plus the game really isn't too difficult, so most people should be able to jump in with no problem. Right now you can pick up this gem for just $11.99, marked down 40% and matching an all-time low, again until the 7th. Alright, and here's a real quick recap of games that are on sale from our last under $5 video.
In the mood for a story, are we? Abby wanted the world, and it shows itself at its best. The fields, the flowers. But you can't afford to rest.
told me I was too young. They told me I needed more training. I told them I was already dead.
Named Mo. She knows what must be done. When the Blight first came, people began to panic. And now, the spores are taking hold of whatever remains.
Unfold the secrets of the digital kingdom. A magical place beyond time and space. Be ready for a neo-retro symphonic quest. A post-fever dream with echoes from a far dimension.
Alright everybody, here are a few other games to check out while you're already on the eShop. Alright everybody, thank you all so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video or you like the Switch, we have plenty more content on the channel. Feel free to check it out.